Oh, hello there. I never know how to start these streams off. Sometimes I want to do like the Palpatine voice from Revenge of the Sith. You guys remember those trailers back in like 2005, where like it was like a black screen, and all you heard from the background was like Palpatine. He's like, "Lord Vader." He's like, "Yeah, what's good?" He's like, "Can you hear me?" And he's like, "Yeah," and he just rise. Yeah, that part was always funny. Just just simply goes rise. I love it. So what's going on? How you guys doing? Are you ready for a possible Mandalorian season 2 trailer tonight at 9 Eastern Standard Time, which is now my time. If you guys don't know, I officially moved to Florida to here in the good old sunshine state of Florida. Doesn't make sense why they call it sunshine to me because the sun's missing half the damn day. But yeah, it's whatever. I'm here. I'm ready for it. Really humid, hard to breathe. I arrived here 2 weeks ago on a Friday. It is Thursday. I'm still not dry, but that's okay. Anywho, yeah, there's a lot of not speculation, if you will, but there's been a lot of credible news outlets over the past 24 hours. Mainly last night is when it kind of reached its peak. A lot of credible news outlets were saying that you're going to get a Mandalorian season 2 trailer tonight, and the reason I feel like that is actually going to happen is because the two possible dates we had is that basically it's going to happen during this NBA playoffs. I don't know anything about basketball. I just don't care if it's not MMA and if it's not boxing. I'm not going to watch it most likely. But there's supposed to be an NBA playoff game tonight and then another one in 2 days. Which God, what day would that be? That'd be a Saturday night, right? The reason I don't think it's going to happen Saturday night is because they have that DC fandom. Am I saying that right? It has an E at the end of it. It's not fandom, but fandom, I guess. Anywho, that's supposed to happen, and that's going to start Saturday night. So I really don't think that Lucasfilm would be unwise to release it on a Saturday. I just feel like that's bad marketing. Like, why would you release the trailer for season 2, which is going to be a big deal? There's already a lot of hype around it without them releasing almost any marketing material for it and even announcing a trailer. There's already a lot of hype around a possible trailer. So the idea that they would release it when DC fandom comes out and there's going to be all these trailer announcements and movies and like there's a Batman and then like Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck are both reprising their roles as Batman and like some Flash movie that I didn't even know was a thing. So yeah, I just don't see them waiting till Saturday night. So I could see it happening tonight. Is there a NBA game tomorrow night? Is there another basketball game that I don't know about? Because if that's the case, then maybe they'll wait till tomorrow. But I definitely see it happening tonight. So keep your eyes out. And I said it in my community post this morning that I will make a reaction video. I'm not going to live stream it because honestly, I just don't care enough and we're already here. But I'll definitely make a video of it right when it comes out. John C. Craven says a percent chance of it happening tonight. If I'm going to be honest, I say it is a 60% chance that it happens tonight. For the factors of so many credible news outlets said it would happen tonight, and also that if it happened on this weekend, it just wouldn't make much sense because of I just think marketing wise, it just would not fit with what they're trying to do. Also, you have to remember. This is the time that Celebration was supposed to happen. Star Wars Celebration was supposed to happen, I think, between, God, was it the 24th and the 27th? I don't know. I was supposed to go, and I'm kind of glad I didn't in hindsight because of the move to Florida. But, I mean, it was supposed to happen around this time. So that would have been interesting to see at Celebration, at least, because that's when they released the first trailer for it. Please give us your opinion on the Cuties controversy. Oh, yeah, that was weird, right? Netflix put out like I don't want to get too deep. I'm just going to say it was weird and stupid and it shouldn't have happened. That was just, no, that was awful. Piggy says LRM and Kessel Run transmissions have both backtracked on the leak earlier. Also, Funko teased an online Star Wars Celebration. All right, you're right on the second part. That Funko teased an online Star Wars Celebration. So did Gentle Giant as well. LRM, I don't think they backtracked on the leaked trailer. Or actually, it's not even leaked, though. It's just supposed to be coming out tonight. LRM just came out and said it's either going to happen tonight or it's going to happen on the 22nd. Kessel Run transmissions, those guys have gotten like, I have an odd opinion about them. They seem plenty fine guys, but it was kind of funny when like they came out with the Bad Batch leak or scoop where they were like, hey, we're not really scoopers, but we got this one thing right. And now every other day they come out with like another scoop, another scoop, another scoop. And I'm like, man, I am praying to God no one at Lucasfilm knows who your source is, because as often as you guys get these scoops, and I believe a lot of them are accurate, but they also had the Disney earnings call thing wrong, which I also thought was an odd thing for them to bet on, even if they have a source that said something would be announced. There's normally not anything major that are announced during those earnings calls. And I listen, I'm weird. I like stocks. And so I listen to a lot of the earnings calls that go on, mainly for Disney as well. But that's just personal stuff. Let's see. I'm gonna look at some of these questions. This is an AMA, so you can ask me anything you want. Which Star Wars movie you think that should have won Best Picture? A New Hope was the only one the nomination for. Just imagine George Lucas for the Oscar. I definitely would say 1980's Empire Strikes Back should have been Oscar nominated, and the first Star Wars was nominated, but it wasn't nominated in the sense of like, but yeah, it did get nominated for Best Picture, didn't it? But I think the competition it had was pretty high, and you also have to remember back when Star Wars came out, man, there was nothing like it. So imagine we go to film nowadays, let's say like 2019. I think it was like you compare Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is an amazing film by Quentin Tarantino, to Avengers Endgame. All right, what's more entertaining? Most people would say Avengers Endgame, even though I do not like that movie at all. But what's a better film? What's an actual like movie that you're like, oh, this is really thought provoking. This is like got great cinematography and the shots and the acting. You would say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's kind of where 1977 was with Star Wars, where this is a very good, entertaining kids film, but it's not better than some of these films that are coming out that we're used to. So there's like people who harp on the original trilogy nowadays don't realize the original trilogy is the reason a lot of the movies you watch nowadays feel so mainstream, and it's kind of predictable in some sense, because when A New Hope came out, it wasn't predictable. Salty Pineapple says, when the Kenobi series happens, do you think they would make action figures? Oh, of course. I particularly see one mainly being Obi-Wan. He's going to be standing on an elevated ground, if you will. He'll be standing on top of something, and they'll just call it like the high ground. Like they won't even, you know what, how about this? They don't even sell an action figure for Obi-Wan Kenobi. They just sell like an action figure of a hill, like just kind of like a model of a hill, and just call it the high ground. It's just going to be one moment in the show where he's like walking up to it or something like that. Hey man, do you have thoughts on what the Mandalorian season 2 trailer will be about? Or are you asking trailer or just the show? The show, from everything we've heard, is going to have cameos from everyone and their mother. I've said many times we'll be making a cameo in Mandalorian season 2. The big thing is, one thing I would expect from the trailer tonight, at least, would be a little confirmation on some of these rumors. Like there's been, I'm not even going to say rumors anymore, because a lot of it's been, what's the word? Corroborated? Am I saying that right? I don't know. I'm awful with English, even though it's my main language. There's been a lot of double confirmations, if you will, throughout credible news outlets like The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, and some of these other scoopers in the Star Wars community, where like Boba Fett is going to be appearing in The Mandalorian season 2. That's just kind of almost a fact at this point. But you also can't say that because it hasn't been officially confirmed by Lucasfilm. You also have the Ahsoka cameo that's supposed to happen, and she's supposed to show up for like one episode. Her blue lightsaber is supposed to come out and about, and Rosario Dawson is supposed to be the one who's playing Ahsoka, and that's supposed to be like a launching pad for Ahsoka to get her own live-action series. So I could see them avoiding revealing that in tonight's trailer if it does happen tonight, but I do see the Boba Fett one coming to fruition, because I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like that would be the one that you would really want to captivate your audience with. Like casual audiences will look at it and be like, "Oh, that's Boba Fett. I know who that is." I do think Boba Fett will be in season 2. I think it's kind of a good play for Lucasfilm to bring that in, because it's a little bit of nostalgic service, it's a little bit of fan service for us. But it's also one of those things where, I mean, Boba Fett's an iconic character that's been around for a while, and we really want to develop the story a little bit more. And there's some story to be developed. After the Star Wars Aftermath books, it was one of the first trilogy of books that came out after the new Star Wars canon. I think they started printing those in like 2014. And in the Aftermath books, there's a guy named Cobb Vanth, and he is the one who finds Boba Fett's armor and like wears it or something. And the story would be for season 2 is that Boba Fett is coming back to Mara Morrison is playing Boba Fett, and you see his like actual face and everything, no helmet, and then you will see you see Cobb Vanth wearing the armor, and you're like, oh, that's Boba Fett. And then for casual audiences, people who don't keep up with the books because they're sane are gonna look at that and be like, oh my god, that's Boba Fett, and then they're like, oh no, it's not Boba Fett, it's this weird guy, and that adds a lot more to the story. So I do think Boba Fett is going to be in season 2. Z Malik 7 says, I don't want Ahsoka to be in Mando season 2 because I think that her story should have ended with Rebels with Vader killing her. I absolutely agree. I actually really am kind of annoyed with the character of Ahsoka at this point. She was fine for what she was. I enjoyed her in Clone Wars. I thought bringing her in Rebels was a little bit much, but then like she just survives everything, and it's kind of like what more can you really do with her character, and what do I not know about her anymore? I mean, there's not any tension really when I see her on screen now, because I'm like, well, she's probably gonna win. What are you gonna do, Dave? I'm talking to Dave Filoni here. What are you gonna do? Kill her off? No. There was a big push in the Lucasfilm story group after Disney bought Star Wars, and this push came from Dave Filoni and some of the other people who were on Clone Wars before the Disney purchase. There's a big push in the Lucasfilm story group to bring back Ahsoka, and that's one of the main reasons that she's such a prominent figure now, is because she's become very popular in the fandom, which I'm not harping on that. I understand liking the character. I'm just kind of annoyed with her at this point. Goose Sniper says, do we have any dates for the Kenobi series, or is Kathleen Kennedy still ordering it to be rewritten? Well, it's currently being rewritten. From what we know right now, though, it looks like some film, I wouldn't say filming, though, that there's been some, I wish I could put up a picture for the Kenobi series. I am sorry that I don't have one already on the ready. But there's been some talks about how in the Kenobi series, at least, there's going to be filming that's happening next month, but it's going to be like, I think, promo material, nothing like, maybe something for like a little teaser trailer, not like an actual trailer, but like nowadays they do teaser trailers. So the Kenobi series is still happening. Personally, I predict that it's going to come out in 2022, and that's just because I know they're going to start like actual production within the next 6 months. And actually, I do have like kind of a small inside scoop about some production that's going to be happening soon, and it's not the Cassian Andor series, and it's not the Kenobi series, so it kind of leads me to believe it's something else that's not like big breaking news, but it's kind of like, it's news, I guess. But we'll talk about that maybe in a video or a little later in the stream. Let me look at some of these other comments here. 6,900 subscribers challenge says, why would they release a trailer now? We all know the next season is coming out the same date like last year, possibly delayed a month. Do we though? I mean, I don't think anyone really knows the actual date. It's coming out in October, and last year it came out in November. So I mean, yeah, it's just kind of, and even with the trailer came out in April of 2019, and we are in August. So I don't think that's entirely accurate, my friend. Confirmed not happening tonight. Confirmed by who though? I mean, if it's confirmed to not happen tonight, I'm completely fine with it not happening. Disappointed for sure. Let me type in The Mandalorian Season 2 on Google and see what it says. Within the past hour, there's been no update, so I don't know what you mean by confirmed, but that's fair. Am I looking forward to the Kenobi series? Of course. I am, because I think that's one of those things where it's a fan service, but it's also needed fan service. You know what? Let me just freaking put up a picture of Kenobi so I can... I hate talking about things and you guys just looking at this bubble with me moving around. And I'm sorry if you hear my mouse clicking in the background. I'm trying to get it going faster than average. That's what she said. And where's it at? Where's it at? Watcha! Look at that sexy sumbitch. Yeah, I'm excited for the Kenobi series just because Ewan McGregor's a fantastic actor and he was underused in the prequels. Oh, I know you can't critique the prequels, but still, he should have been used a lot more in the prequels than he was. So seeing him come back in the series and being the main character and being the sole focus is extremely exciting. Let's see. Looking through some of these. Remember the mysterious character at the end of episode 5 in season 1? I think that was Boba Fett. What do you think, or who do you think it was? And when we find out in the new season, yes, it's. See, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. You're right. It was Boba Fett. Quotation marks. Quotation marks. Quotation marks. It was really Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth was wearing the armor, and I think it was a clear hint that Boba Fett was planned to be coming in season 2, probably from the start. And you also have to remember this. Episode 5, or Chapter 5, whatever you want to call it, Episode 5 of Season 1 was the first episode that Jon Favreau did not write himself. the first 4 he had written, and that's what he pitched to Lucasfilm. And they were like, yeah, okay, that's great. Now we're going to have, we want to give Dave Filoni a shot at live action here. And John and Dave get along very well. And Dave Filoni wrote episode 5. So I think Dave kind of had the foresight to go, all right, I'm going to be the one who puts Boba Fett into this new series and kind of take the story from Star Wars Aftermath into something else. Because I'm entirely confident that Jon Favreau did not care about Boba Fett and probably just did not know that his armor was stolen from him by Cobb Vanth. So yes, that was the Boba Fett armor at the end of episode 5, but that was not Boba Fett wearing said armor. Let's see. How would you rank the sequel trilogy films? That's a pretty good question. It's not hard though for me. I'll put away the comment just so everyone can see the Rise of Skywalker at the bottom. How would I rank them? I would rank them almost in the order they're in right now. Force Awakens at the top, because no matter what you say, Force Awakens is a solid film. It's a solid Star Wars film. It does its job. It did its job on getting me excited for the next 2, mainly episode 8. The problem with the Force Awakens, there's a lot of problems with it, is that some of these setups kind of shot itself in the foot, like putting Luke trapped on an island, but not really explaining why he's there. Basically getting rid of the entire Jedi Order, making it feel like we're really just repeating the same story from the original trilogy. It didn't do anything bold or new. And so that was kind of the disappointment with The Force Awakens. But I still would give it probably like a 7 out of 10. And the other 2, The Last Jedi, that's what sucks about The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, is that the Last Jedi is like, it really did try its best for what Rian Johnson was trying to do with it. He was actually trying to be unique, and I think he fell flat on his face with it. But I appreciate it for what it was, in a sense of it has the best cinematography out of all the Star Wars films. I don't think you can debate that. You can hate on the film all you want. I was the first guy out of the entire community to hate it, and that's undisputable. I was there at Star Wars Celebration 2017 when the trailer came out, and everyone was pissing their pants, and they were like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I was the only one in the audience, and I was like, I'm not feeling it, man. I'm not feeling it. I don't know about that. I didn't like it. And someone who was a little bit more in the know than I was about this kind of stuff told me, I think a day or 2 before the trailer came out, he was like, hey man, I know you like Luke Skywalker. I don't think you're going to like this film. And I was like, why? And he said, he goes crazy. That's what I've been hearing. And I was like, God, come on, man. And so, yeah, I would rank that as my number 2, and then Rise of Skywalker as my number 3, just because I can't rewatch The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi is just like kind of cringe to get through at times. The Rise of Skywalker is exhausting. I mean, there's so much that happens. It's I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, I don't even think the guys who made the film knew how to explain what was going on, but it was just 2 films mixed into one. It was a sequel to The Force Awakens, but not really a sequel to The Last Jedi. So it made The Last Jedi kind of feel pointless. And it just did not work for me. So yeah, I would rank Rise of Skywalker probably at my bottom, but I also would say it might be tied with The Last Jedi in terms of not being good. When do I think the Kenobi series will appear? Like I said a little earlier, it's probably going to come out in 2022. Let's see. Let's go through some of these a little faster. Those are a lot of them. George Lucas is going to appear in Mandalorian Season 2. That's probably not wrong. Thank you very much for the Super Chat comment, Star. He says, Matt Lanter versus Hayden Christensen. Oh, God, forgive me. I probably don't. I probably should know who Matt Lanter is. He's probably the guy who voiced Anakin in the Clone Wars, right? Am I right or am I wrong? If I had to pick between the 2, and this may... I forgot this cover that I had for... or is the thumbnail that I had for one of the videos of Hayden returning as Anakin in the Kenobi series. I'm going to put my money on Matt. I think voice acting-wise, he does it better than Hayden. Hayden, I know he gets a lot of love, as he should, in the modern Star Wars fandom, but I just don't think he's that great of an actor. And even him in the prequels, going back looking at him, I love it. I don't love the prequels, but I love the attempt he gives, but I don't think he's better as portraying the character of Anakin as Matt is. And that's no diss on Hayden. That's just me not really enjoying the character. And I think Hayden's a great guy, but I don't think he's developed as an actor as probably someone as Matt did as a voice actor. But it's probably easier to portray emotions just using voice than it is actually acting everything out like Hayden had to do. So there's going to be some complications with that. How do you feel about Ahsoka Tano being in live action shows? A little nervous. I'm a little nervous. What if she doesn't look good? Like that's my big thing. Is like everyone's so excited about like Ahsoka showing up, and I'm like, what if she looks awful? What if she's just ugly? Like, wouldn't that be awful to deal with? Like everyone sees Ahsoka, we're all excited, and like we see her, and we're like, that looks nothing like her. Did she have plastic surgery? What's going on here? Really nervous about that. But what's interesting is that there's been all these leaks and scoops and all this stuff about Ahsoka appearing in live action and going to be a big part of Star Wars in the future for live action. But we've never seen a single set picture of her. There's no artwork, no big leak about what she would look like. Because I think if we had a leak, it would be huge. It would break the Star Wars internet at least. So I'm a little nervous that she's not going to look normal. I'm a little nervous that she's going to be disappointing for a lot of fans. But we'll just have to see how it goes, because Lucasfilm's betting a lot on Ahsoka being the future of Star Wars, at least in the short term. And when I say short term, I mean in the next 3 to 5 years. Flake, I don't know how to say your last name, buddy. I'll just say Flaco. He says, "Am I the only one who doesn't want all these cameos?" That's a good point. A lot of people, myself included, I'll probably say I was, maybe not even be a lot of people. I was one of the people, same with some of my friends from the Chatooine show that we do on Fridays, Darth Lunga. He also said something about like a lot of these cameos are kind of getting a little out of hand. And what's great about The Mandalorian season 1 is that it's not a nostalgic fest. It's not constantly shoving in your face, hey, you remember this? It kind of does nostalgia in a nice way where it's just a quick little nod, just very quick, like in episode 1 where they had the carbonite freeze thing. They showed it once and they never showed it again for the entire season, and that's the stuff I don't mind. With all these cameos though, that's almost shoving it down your throat. Like, hey, you remember Ahsoka? Yep, here she is. What about Sabine? You remember her from Rebels? Well, here she is too. Or what about Bo-Katan from Rebels and Clone Wars? Well, here she is. Boba Fett. Like everybody and their brother is showing up in this. And it's kind of one of those things where you look at it and you go, well, I hope the story's at least good, because I really like the story from Mandalorian season 1. It's very simple, but if we're going to almost overdo it with all these cameos, I want to make sure the cameos don't draw away from the actual story that we've been telling with the Mandalorian season 1, because I don't want to lose the focus on Din Djarin and the child, or Baby Yoda as we call him, because that's kind of what's glued us into it. You would think that this guy with a literally can't really show emotion because he's just wearing a helmet could captivate an audience like he has. And the story and the simplicity to it has really made this show popular, in my opinion, and made it so appealing to Star Wars fans. I think you could potentially ruin that with having way too many cameos, because then it's like, all right, you had a good thing and now you're kind of ruining it. So it's confirmed it isn't. What's confirmed it isn't? Is it the same Mandalorian thing about the trailer not happening tonight? That's my question, guys. Someone's got to send me a link. Do I need to check Twitter? I don't want to check Twitter. Twitter is annoying and awful, but I'll look at some of the tweety folk, as we call them. I'm not seeing anything on Twitter that would indicate that it would not happen tonight. Yeah, no, there's nothing that I'm seeing that's saying it's not happening tonight. So if anyone can give me a link that says it's not happening, and I hate when people say confirmed. Like when people are like, oh, it's confirmed George Lucas said this, and I look at the source and it's like Mike Zero. I'm like, okay, come on. Don't be lying to me like that. All right, let's look at some of these comments again. How will Hayden be played into the Kenobi series? I think they're going to do flashbacks mostly, and that's what we kind of talked about a little bit. There were some details that were revealed about his appearance, that it was going to be a flashback to the Clone Wars. So between episodes 2 and 3, probably closer to 3. And that makes a lot of sense because it's right age for Hayden. He still looks young, man. I mean, it's been 15 years since Revenge of the Sith. Dude hasn't aged a day. He's aging like fine wine. How old is he? Let me look that up. How old is Hayden Christensen? Hayden. age. This must be a popular topic for people. He's 39. What? Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense then. He hasn't hit his midlife crisis yet. We'll reach that in about a year. Oh, and what do you know? His birthday's on April 19th as well, and that's when the first trailer for Mandalorian dropped last year. So kind of a little bit of an odd coincidence. I'm playing out. It's no coincidence, but yeah, that's cool. I think he'll be played in by flashbacks. There's really nothing else you can do. I don't want to see him play Darth Vader. I don't want to see him put on the suit and come out there. It's just no. I'm okay. When do you think they'll stop making Star Wars content? When the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. When the God. I literally just was watching Game of Thrones, the entire series last month with my girlfriend because she had never seen it. I don't remember the rest, but basically they're never going to stop making Star Wars content. It's Star Wars. If Boba returns, do you think he will be killed or even be a returning villain for Mando? Here's a pitch for you. What if he's not a villain? What if him and Mando team up? Like, let's say they fight at first, but they end up teaming up. They get Boba Fett's armor back, and then hold up, wait for it. Here's a pitch that Lucasfilm apparently is going for. Boba Fett gets his own series too. I guess you didn't see that coming. Lucasfilm has been wanting to do something live action with Boba Fett since 2015, maybe even earlier. Josh Trank was the original director for the Boba Fett film, and that was constantly in active development. And by active development, it meant that they didn't want to cancel it, but they didn't really know what to do with it. And so when Josh Trank led the project, it was like, well, crap, now what do we do? And then I think it was 2018 when they officially announced that they were canceling the Boba Fett film. So I think when they figured that out, actually, if you think about it, that kind of works in the timeline. If they knew they were going to cancel the Boba Fett film because they're going to make a Mandalorian series, and Dave Filoni is the guy who wrote episode 5 of Mandalorian and knew that Boba Fett was the guy at the end of it, but the armor was being worn by Cobb Vanth, I think that means Lucasfilm was like, all right, we're not going to do a movie, but we are going to put him into this new show that we have going on here, and then possibly give him his own series. I think that's likely the trajectory that they were going for and like the mindset they were having. So I don't think he's going to be a villain. I think he might be like kind of like an anti-hero thing. And hopefully my boy Daniel Logan gets to come back and do something with him. I mean, Daniel Logan's been trying to get that gig with Boba Fett for a long time now, and he's been very active in the community. He's been a very positive role in the Star Wars community, and the recent BS that happened with him over the past month or two, where he was just accused of something he didn't like really sucks, man. Like he didn't deserve that. So I really hope Daniel Logan comes back and plays Boba Fett in some capacity or is involved with it in some capacity because I think he deserves that. Let's see. I'm looking through some of these questions still. Grace Randolph just said it might not happen on Twitter. I don't care what she says. She literally said yesterday that it is happening tonight. So what, is she saying that her source from last night was wrong? I don't trust Grace Randolph as far as I can throw her. That woman, and I hate to be insulting on appearances. She looks insane. Like she looks like the classic white mom from the horror movie where like they smile in your face, but internally they're like, so this is the one where like I hit the tea glass with my spoon and then he's gonna pass out and have an aneurysm or something. I do not like Grace Randolph. She annoys me. Just her voice, her face, like her eye, one of her eyes always look like they're twitching at you or something, like she's ready to pop at any moment. No, I don't like that woman. This is the best comment we've had tonight. It is not confirmed, but the trailer coming out today was also never confirmed. Exactly. A lot of credible news outlets came out and said the trailer's coming out tonight, but no, Lucasfilm never said it was or was not happening either. And that's where some people got nervous, is because they did the Star Wars show today on YouTube, and in that show they never said, yeah, we're doing the Mandalorian trailer tonight or anything like that. And so people are like, well, if there's no marketing for it, then why? Then how could it be happening tonight? Well, who says there has to be marketing for it? Who says they have to do anything to say that they're putting on a trailer? If there's going to be a trailer, it could just hit out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? All right, let's look through some of these. Getting a lot. Overlord DVD is the most depressingly thinly disguised hate-only channel. Yeah, that's fair, accurate, fair, accurate, or fair description. I don't know why I said fair, accurate. I'm stupid. I'm trying to read all these and talk. If the Lando show or Cassian Andor show comes out, which one would you like more or watch more of? God, I really didn't think there was going to be a show I was less excited for than the Cassian Andor series. And then Lucasfilm was like, aha, I'm going to show you up one and I'm going to give you the Lando series. I don't care about either of these series at all. I just don't. They're both probably going to explore the. Oh, snap. Hang on, guys. My girlfriend's here. She's like at my house, and so I'm gonna let her in real quick. So I'll be back in like 5 seconds. Nobody leave. All right, I'm gonna come back and like 50 guys gone. I'll be back in a second. All right, I'm sorry about that, and I'm extremely proud of all of you. Only like 3 people left. We added a person to the room though. My girlfriend's here, so I would say everybody say hi, but she can't hear you. Let's see. All right, so on the last question, if Lando or the Cassian Andor series comes out, so the Cassian Andor series comes out next year, 2021, and it started production I think last month. They're not going to start filming for another month or two, and I think that's going to come out in the later half of 2021, and then the Lando series is not going to come out till let's see, probably 2023 at the earliest. And the reason I say that is because Donald Glover is a very popular actor and artist at the moment, and he's filming that show. What's it called? Atlanta, and that's going to do seasons. I think 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, one of the two. I don't care, but it's going to do like 2 seasons back to back filming. So he's going to be busy doing that for the foreseeable future. And I think that stops in 2022. So the earliest it could come out theoretically would be 2023. So we got some time to wait on both of those for a good while at least. And I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to either of them. I don't really care about either of them, but it's whatever. Oh, there we go. Babe, Eraser 1112 says hi to your girlfriend. Let's see. I thought we were calling Adam a simp, to be honest. I don't even know who Adam is. I'm sorry about that. Adam. Who is worse, Doomcock or Mike Zero? They're both trash. So here's a fun theory. Why aren't they just the same guy? You know how much money that guy could make if he uploaded as much as Mike Zero does and then gets the views that Doomcock does, but like just puts on the mask and he's Doomcock, but then takes it off and he's Mike Zero. I would, if that was the reveal for both of them, I would be really happy. I would, that'd make me happy. Let's see. Do you hope to see a flashback of Obi-Wan and Anakin talking about Ahsoka Tano's departure from the Jedi Order, unfinished Clone Wars episode in the Kenobi series? No, I do not. I don't want to focus on Ahsoka. I don't want to focus on anything other than beautiful Ewan McGregor himself. I really want to focus on his like handling of leaving the Jedi Order, the entire Order falling, and what could happen in his future. I mean, he has to cope kind of with losing his best friend and someone he considered a brother. I really wouldn't want to see him reminisce on the time of him talking about Ahsoka with Anakin. I don't know. Their bond was already not that great in the prequels. It took the sequel, not the sequel trilogy, my bad. It took the Clone Wars series to actually make the bond between Anakin and Obi-Wan seem authentic and actually like close. So I think if they did that with the show and they showed flashbacks with Anakin and Obi-Wan talking about Ahsoka, to me it would take away a little bit, because to me it's the focus is now on Ahsoka again. I don't want to hear or even think about Ahsoka the entire time the Kenobi series comes out, because we focused on her so much in the recent past. I'm just kind of annoyed with it. Dutastic says, is Disney Plus the future of Star Wars? Short-term wise, yes. And the reason I say short-term wise is because there's so many series and shows that are in active development. You got the Kenobi series, you got the Lando series, Cassian Andor, Mandalorian season 3 is going to happen for sure. Then we have the Bad Batch series is coming out next year. There's supposed to be an animated, animated Rogue Squadron series, a Ben Solo either series or animated one. Well, it could be animated or live action. I mean, Jesus. Then that's not even talking about the Leslie Headland series. You guys remember that one that they announced along with the Taika Waititi film going out? Apparently, and this is coming from like credible like news outlets. I think LRM Online was the one who reported on it. Even people at Lucasfilm do not know what the Leslie Headland Star Wars series is going to be about. Like, only people inside that little circle are the ones who actually know what's going to happen with that show. And that makes me really interested in it, because Variety is the one who came out and said it's going to be female centric. And it's like, well, are you sure about that? Because I mean, a lot of these people who've gotten so many scoops, and a lot of these people with sources, even the sources who are probably walking around at Lucasfilm, knocking on doors, asking, hey, anybody hear about that Leslie Headland thing? And everyone's coming back to them like, nah, I haven't heard a damn thing. What about you? And no, I haven't heard either. So I think that I think that the series is probably one of the most intriguing that's going to happen in the future. But I do think Disney Plus is the future. And there's that guy, J.D. Dillard, who he's supposed to be getting his own Star Wars film. But Hollywood Reporter said they didn't know if it was going to be a theatrical release or a Disney Plus release. And I think that adds so much to the possibility of Disney Plus being the future of Star Wars. And for Palpamines, what's going on, my friend? I've missed your conversations on here. He says, Kathleen Kennedy hasn't done as bad of a job as people are saying. The Clone Wars, Rebels, The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan show, and so much more. People just hate on her because it's trendy to do. Well, you do make a good point, and I've been kind of making this point for a little bit. George Lucas, like if we're gonna act like Kathleen Kennedy is the devil, well then George Lucas is the one who put the devil in charge. I mean, if we're being honest here, Disney did not hire Kathleen Kennedy. George Lucas did. He made her co-chairman, and whether you like it or not, she has produced more films than I could ever hope to work on. She's produced more films than Lucas has, or Lucas has even worked on himself. So to act like she hasn't had a legendary career in filmmaking is wrong. Now, to be fair, my friend Emperor Palpamines, she has made some mistakes. She was nervous about the David Benioff and DB Weiss situation. She was extremely nervous about letting them go because she knew that the track record that she had. She knew that she let go of Josh Trank, fired him from the Boba Fett film. She knew that there was a bad perception of Lucasfilm with firing him, firing Colin Trevorrow, firing Phil Lord and Chris Miller. All of that adds up. And then you let go of David Benioff and DB Weiss. There's a bad track record at Lucasfilm right now when it comes to those kind of situations. There's a revolving door of directors and writers. And it even happened recently with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And even though I think that was a great move by her to be working on that since like 2014, it still is one of those things where, you know, you had the scripts written and you announced in August of 2019, the show's coming out, it's happening, and we're ready to start production. And then you delay production because you got to rewrite the scripts because you're not happy with what you had. Well, why announce the show if you're not happy with scripts that you already have ready? It just makes no sense. So Kathleen has been a little bit of I think she's had a big learning curve. That's where I'll give this to. I think she's been doing better over the past few years. I think in terms of PR, she's actually a pretty good Lucasfilm president, because I've watched her in a lot of interviews, and it's kind of weird to say, but I you know me, I'm into the production and the politics of Star Wars, and so looking at her in the like the interviews that she does good. Like she talks normal. She acts like someone who I think you could have a genuine conversation with. But yeah, a lot of people do not like her because it is trendy to do. All right. Oof. Jeez, the comments are getting by me. Which rumored character are you most excited to see in season 2 of Mando? Probably Boba Fett, just because of I really want to see his story progress in some sense. It's easier to hate Kennedy than to admit Star Wars has glaring and pathetic problems at its core right now. Well, that's true. With anything, even when it comes to like actual politics in the real world, if there's something not right with your country of America, the one that I live in, they're going to be like, "Oh, what's the president's fault?" Like, no matter who's president, it changes either every 4 or 8 years. No matter who's president, he's always going to get blamed for everything, and that's the same thing with Kathleen Kennedy. And before her, the sole proprietor of Lucasfilm was George Lucas. So people are acting like George did not get nonstop hate from 1997 to 1997 to 2012. He did. I mean, he got a lot of flack for what he was doing. And if Kathleen Kennedy was doing the exact same thing that George Lucas was doing at the time, she would get the exact same amount of hate, if not more. And that's just because she didn't make Star Wars. George gets that kind of pass because he's the creator of Star Wars. But I think it's a little annoying to see everyone just kind of follow the trend of hating Kathleen. You got to remember, she's the one who put Jon Favreau into power over there at Lucasfilm and is probably vetting him, hopefully, to become the Lucasfilm president. But I do think that Star Wars has a problem of what to do with its story now that we're done with the Skywalker saga. And I think she's making the right approaches to it by looking at these shows and using them for the short-term future and taking this gap between 2019 and 2023. Jesus, I can't get these dates right. 2019 and 2023. 2023 in December is when we're going to get the next Star Wars film, and that's going to be directed and written by Taika Waititi. So that's a damn near 4-year gap in like all actuality for at least Lucasfilm when it comes to production on being able to plan out what to do with the future of Star Wars. We don't know if there's going to be another trilogy. We don't know who's going to direct and write the 2025 and 2027 Star Wars films, but we do know they are coming. Let's see. Not to mention, there are plenty of people who are very happy with the sequels. You're right. A lot of people do like the sequels. Do you think that the sequel trilogy can be saved by animated shows or Disney Plus shows? And do you think that a Yoda movie or Disney Plus series will ever happen? No, first things first, stay the hell away from Yoda. We got Baby Yoda right now. I'm tired of talking about Yoda. I love the guy to death. He's dead. All right? He is dead. He is gone. Leave him be. The sequel trilogy being saved, what's there to save? I mean, we can do what we did with the prequels. The prequels were really bad when they came out, and we fixed them with the Clone Wars show. Do you really want to risk doing that with the sequels? I feel like the sequel... What's interesting about Star Wars, at least in terms of trilogies that we have, the 3, the original trilogy, that era, is extremely boring. I love them films so much. I think they're the best films. I think they're the best of the Star Wars, and they are quintessential Star Wars. But I am tired of the original trilogy era. Prequel trilogy era, there's a lot to explore there because there's so many planets. There's so much going on in the galaxy. You can go during the Clone Wars. You can go... In my opinion, it's better to go between episodes 1 and 2, The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and then I want to go before The Phantom Menace. That really intrigues me, seeing the Republic kind of at its height in some sense, and the Jedi at the height of their power. I like that idea. I like that timeline. The sequel trilogy, it's just like the originals. There's nothing going on. The First Order's rising to power. Ooh, who cares, man? I really don't think that the sequel trilogy can be saved in the sense of a show like the Clone Wars would come out and rescue it, but who knows? Who knows? She's produced more Star Wars films in 6 years than Lucas did in 4 decades. Okay, that is very true. That is very true. But also, to be fair, she has a boss now named Alan Horn, whose boss is also Bob Iger, or it was. How does the chain of command go now? I'm trying to think of everyone's position. Kathleen Kennedy's president of Lucasfilm. Alan Horn is her direct boss over there at the Disney Studios. So Bob Iger is now Alan Horn's direct boss by ranking because he's the chairman or the president of Disney Studios, which deals with all the movies that Disney makes. And then above Alan Horn is what's his name? Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek's not really above Bob Iger either, but he technically is. Bob Iger's just kind of coaching him into it. Let's go. I think the sequels aren't as bad as people actually say they are. My bad. Aren't as bad as people say they are. Actually, really good. I'm sorry, I messed up you get the gist. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're going to age that well, but I also think they're going to kind of age like the prequels, because when the prequels came out, they were hated, they were slandered, but they didn't have as big of a active fan base as the sequels do currently. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how they both age, because in 10 to 15 or maybe even 10 to 20 years, people like me who grew up with the prequels, people like me who are in their 20s and are considered big fans of the prequels, they're going to get older. And a lot of the Star Wars fans who love the prequels now, who are teenagers, who are in their 20s or maybe even 30s at the oldest, they're going to grow out of Star Wars. And then the people who grew up with the sequels are going to grow up and probably say, hey, I actually really like the sequels. I think they got a lot of flack that wasn't deserved. So then the question is going to be, is the fandom that comes to Star Wars in the next 15, 20, 25 years at the oldest we can go, is that fandom going to look as fondly at the prequels as we do currently? I don't think they will. I don't think the prequels are going to age that well. I think the reason they have a resurgence is because people like me grew up with them. All right. Prequels or sequels are on par with the prequels. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I have to look at that again. I have to rewatch all of them, and it's hard to rewatch all of them because I don't love all of them. Who do you think should be blamed for the sequel trilogy's wasted potential? Star Wars only. Who do I think should be blamed? Ooh, man, what you guys remember this picture? You remember when this was the plan for it? J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, Colin Trevorrow. Who should be blamed for the sequels trilogy's wasted potential? I'm gonna have to say it's a mix. There's a lot of factors that go into this. A lot of factors. There's Disney for misleading George Lucas into selling them his sequel outlines and then not using them, buying the franchise without telling him, hey, by the way, we're not going to use your ideas. There's that. There's Bob Iger for pushing Lucasfilm to make 3 Star Wars movies, a new trilogy basically, within the 3 years. I mean, he pushed that really fast. And then there's also J.J. Abrams setting up The Force Awakens to be literally exactly like the original trilogy, which is kind of uninspiring. And he kind of set Rian Johnson up in a bad position of Rian Johnson now has to explain why Luke Skywalker is trapped on this island when he was the greatest Jedi who ever lived. And so Rian Johnson was like, well, okay, let's just say he gave up on the Jedi. And I mean, I don't agree with how he did it, but I understand his situation. He was kind of trapped in a corner with that. And then Colin Trevorrow, poor guy, didn't come in until way later in the game when they already had, their plan for episode 9 and episode 8. They already kind of had an outline on where they wanted to go, but they never sat all 3 of these guys in one room like they should have and said, all right, guys, you have a week. There are 3 beds here. Here is a box of Cheerios and a box of Reese's Puffs. You're going to eat that and survive on this for the next week. And during this time, you're just going to figure out how you want the sequel trilogy outline to go. Good luck. Godspeed. Tell me how it goes. Not knock 3 times when you've come to a decision. That just never happened. They never really sat down and planned things out. And I think that's just something that Lucasfilm is now going to work on. And I think that Lucasfilm's learned from their mistakes recently. Let's see. I do want to take a kind of a detour. Some of these questions are good, but I haven't had a chance to look at all of them. Are trilogies over? That's a good question. Speaking of trilogies, though, what do you guys think about Buddy Boy Rian Johnson? This will be we'll do probably like 10 more minutes of the stream, and then I'll call it quits. But what do you guys think about Rian Johnson doing his trilogy? Do you guys think it's actually going to happen? I'll be honest, I still think it does. I have been looking at recent interviews and from Kathleen Kennedy herself. So first things first, let's look at the article that was put out by Star Wars back in 2017 when they announced it. It says, I'm going to take away your comment real quick so we can actually read it. If you look at the bottom, it says Lucasfilm is excited to announce that Johnson will create a brand new Star Wars trilogy, the first So the first episode of his trilogy, of which he is set to write and direct with longtime collaborator Ram Bergman. That's what was his name. I screwed that up the other day where I said it was Ron Bergman. Who the hell is Ron Bergman? Also, what kind of name is Ram? What is that European? I don't know. I just can't imagine a mom being like, "Oh, look at him, Ram." Come on. But anyways, Rian Johnson is definitely writing and directing at least one more Star Wars film. Is it going to be his own trilogy though? Who knows? But I do think he's getting a Star Wars trilogy. I'm going to read to you a quote from Kathleen Kennedy to the Hollywood Reporter as late as I think this was in April of 2019. Let me pull up a picture of these two so I can get it right. She says, this is directly from President of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy herself. "I'm sitting down now with Dan Weiss and David Benioff and Rian Johnson. We're all sitting down to talk about where do we go next. We've all had conversations about the possibilities might be, about what the possibilities might be, but now we're locking it down." So let's reread that again. "I'm sitting down, screw the other two guys because they're gone, with Rian Johnson to talk about where do we go next, had conversations about what the possibilities might be, but now we're locking it down." And then there's another article by the Hollywood Reporter talking about how they actually sat down, like this was after that interview that I just talked about, and this was when David Benioff and DB Weiss left Lucasfilm to go do the Netflix deal. And in that report from the Hollywood Reporter, they said that Kathleen Kennedy has sat down with Rian Johnson to talk about the trilogy. So it's happening. I mean, for all signs point to yes. I don't care what the that's funny. The rule of two right there. Me and my friend Darth Longa from the Tatooine show, he makes a good point that I agree with. I really think Rian Johnson's trilogy only happens if Kathleen Kennedy stays on as Lucasfilm president. That is my opinion right now. I like this question though. Thoughts on George Lucas, American Graffiti? Very good for its time. May not be everyone's cup of tea nowadays, but boy, you see those cars from back then, they're pretty. They are pretty. He had a lot of those low angle shots too, a lot of kind of teenage boomer humor at the time. Very, very solid movie to watch. I recommend it. It's on HBO Max if you have that. That's what I have, and that's how I watched it. I also bought it because, you know me, I'm a Lucas fanatic, but yeah, pretty good movie. But yeah, I think the Rian Johnson trilogy is happening. I think it's going to come out in December of 2025, and I think since he's going to write and direct the first one, a lot of fans are going to be like, with it. But I also think he'll impress us. I think it's going to be better than The Last Jedi simply because he's going to have his own creative freedom. And what's interesting is that, you know, Kathleen Kennedy said they've been talking about this stuff and they have it locked down on what the plans is. So it's not like, so do you know what era this is going to be? It's definitely not going to be the High Republic era. It's not going to be what the Game of Thrones writers were going to do. They were going to have their Star Wars films based off of like the dawn of the Jedi, like the Jedi Order forming. So I don't know. And also, let's pull up that article that they announced with. He is the first of which the first episode is the one that Rian Johnson is going to write and direct. So, and that's the one that he's Ram Bergman's producing as well. So does that mean episodes 2 and 3 in Rian Johnson's trilogy are going to be directed and written by somebody else? I would be completely fine with that. If Rian Johnson wants to produce it alongside his friend Ram Bergman, I'd also be okay with that. Maybe Rian writes a story, gets a screenwriter in there or something, and gets someone else to direct. Because, guys, you have to understand, when you write a script for a movie, for a film, just because you write the script down and you say, all right, this is what's going to happen, and like line by line, the shots are different than what you envision. The actual way it plays out are a lot different, too, because when you're making films, not everything goes right. So just because Rian Johnson may write the outlines for 2 and 3, doesn't mean the directors for it are going to follow it word by word. So I do think the Rian Johnson trilogy is still happening until they come out with an official statement saying that he's not, because they came out with an official statement saying that about the Game of Thrones guys leaving, but they haven't done that for Rian Johnson yet. And to me, that's proof in the pudding that he's still highly involved with this. And I think Kathleen Kennedy's such a fan of Rian Johnson, she's not going to let him go that easily. HN says, I thought Kathleen Kennedy can't make the calls anymore, but she's still working with less power, and they're still finding someone. That's just not true. I don't know what third-rate news outlet you got. I'm third-rate myself, but damn, I don't make claims like that. She's still making the calls. She is the one who's putting Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau into more power. That's something people aren't talking about. The reason Dave Filoni has been visiting the sets of these Star Wars films, the reason Dave Filoni is directing episodes and writing episodes of The Mandalorian is because Kathleen Kennedy is the one who's approving it. It makes no sense how people can believe that she would hire someone like Jon Favreau, and then he comes in and he's like, yeah, you know what I really want to do? I want to have your job. And Kathleen just be like, oh, well, yeah, by all means. No. Even as recently as last month, I believe, there was a report that came out about that whole, and this came from LRM Online, and LRM is probably, in my opinion, the second, if not the most credible news outlet that's not official Star Wars. They came out and they said, people at Lucasfilm talked about, Kathleen Kennedy's position. There's no inside civil war between Kennedy and Johnson. And if Kennedy chooses to, in 2021, she will be the one who decides if she can stay or if she goes. Personally, this may be controversial. I hope she stays. I don't know anyone right now that I want to replace Kathleen Kennedy other than Jon Favreau, and I do not think he's ready. I want him to make Mandalorian Season 3. I actually kind of want him to direct a Star Wars episode himself, and then hopefully, maybe by 2025, 2026, we put in someone else as Lucasfilm president. But I still want Kathleen on for right now just because she's making so many plans about the future of Star Wars. It kind of would annoy me for her to set up so much and then just dip, and then all of that either gets thrown out the window, like the Kenobi series, like Rian Johnson trilogy. Yeah, who cares really? But like, there's a lot of shows that are in the works and a lot of projects that they have planning. It would make no sense to me to just kick her out right before that comes to fruition. But I also do want to change in leadership because she's made a lot of mistakes that I think I'm not going to say can't be forgiven, but definitely haven't gone unnoticed. I've been one of her biggest critics, but I've also not gone to the point where, like some of these fans, where I just straight up hate the woman. I don't hate Kathleen Kennedy. She's a fine person. All right, let's look at some of these last little questions before I leave, guys. Last few minutes before I do this. Oh, this is a good one right here. Brantley Steen says, fuck you. Thank you, Brantley. Emperor Palpamine says, honestly, Star Wars only. I could write a 50-page essay on why I love the sequel trilogy. I might make an essay video over it someday. I'll send it to you, and maybe you'll see them in a bit of a different way. I mean, you can. A lot of people made the same thing or same kind of argument for what was it? The prequels, and they haven't changed my opinion on it. The prequels I appreciate more when I actually do a little bit of research on it. When I made that video or that documentary, The Phantom Menace 20 years later, I was kind of happier with it. I was like, okay, I kind of see what George is trying to do. Don't agree with everything that he did, but yeah. Bruno says, come on, Kathleen brought too many politics in the Star Wars, almost killed the franchise if it wasn't for Mando. How did she almost kill the franchise? Really? Force Awakens is the highest selling domestic box office movie of all time. And by domestic, I mean America. Endgame, Infinity War did not beat Force Awakens in domestic box office, at least to my knowledge. It's one of the top 5 highest grossing films of all time. Mandalorian Season 1, the most demanded original content from a streaming service ever. How did she kill the franchise? The whole thing that she brought too many politics in it. No, we brought too much politics in it. Like, I remember that whole Forces female shirt thing. I used to be one of the people who were like, God, I can't stand the I can't stand that shirt. Like, why is she doing this? It was just misunderstanding. Nike gave her that shirt and she wore it. Big deal. Exalt, good comment. Tyler says, question, do I love you and your channel? Yes, that's the response. I appreciate that, Tyler. I love you too, my friend. Let's see. All right, last few guys. I'm going to... Gender politics, homie. Star Wars doesn't need gender politics. I agree with you, but what has Kathleen Kennedy specifically said or done that's been gender political? The things that annoyed me a little bit were Force Awakens, like the new trilogy has a female protagonist. Sure, no one cares. Big whoop. Female protagonist I'm fine with. Then Rogue One came out, and it was Jyn Erso, another female protagonist. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Fine with that too. And then, what was it? Battlefront 2. The campaign came out. and it was Iden Versio. And then I was like, all right, guys. All right. Once it's fine. Twice it's a coincidence. Third time's it's a pattern, though. All right. We've hit the third time. So then we got Solo, Star Wars story, though. And then we had Jedi Fallen Order, which was also a male. Cal's a dude. So I really don't see the whole gender politics. You know what's always funny? Most of the gender politics argument comes from males. Like, we guys are the only ones who are like, hey, man, you can't put a female here, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I just think, yeah, the great comment here from Fossil 924. The fans brought the politics. We do. It kind of makes our life a little bit more interesting when we talk about some BS that probably isn't true. All right, last one here. Darth Collector says, hi, Star Wars Only, love the channel. What are your top 5 Star Wars shows you want to see? Just your opinion. Don't worry about what the fandom wants. The 5 shows that I want to see. Oh, geez, man, that's a great question, and a question I unfortunately don't think I have an entire answer to. Let's see if I can scroll through something real quick. What would I want? Okay, I would want, show-wise, I would want a show set in the High Republic. That's number 1. And that, like, my number 1 is, like, my top favorite one to go for. But I want one set in the High Republic era because I think that's interesting. I also would not mind one exploring Darth Plagueis the Wise. I think that would be an amazing idea for a show. A third one set in the Old Republic era, focused yet again on the Sith. I would love to see, or actually, you know what? The High Republic one could be set around the 2 Sith Lords around that time. I really think it'd be interesting to explore the Sith a little bit more, have like the anti-hero vibe from him, like you got from that movie Villain. Why do I keep saying Villain? Venom with Tom Hardy, you know, kind of anti-hero situation. That would be a cool concept to go. So one would be the High Republic focusing around the Sith. Second one would be Darth Plagueis, his story. The third one would be a Jango Fett show set right before Attack of the Clones, because I love the Bounty Hunter game with Jango Fett in it. I think it'd be really cool to explore that timeline and have him go on bounties and whatnot. Fifth one or fourth one, I don't care. We'll just mix it into the 2. I want a show pre The Phantom Menace, and I want it focused around the Jedi Knights, simply just going around and doing what Jedi do and bringing peace to the galaxy. I am so sick and tired of this constant narrative of like, the world's ending, the Sith are back, and you know, unless we do it, we got to kill. We got to kill everybody, or everything's just going to go downhill. So, yeah, I don't. I get kind of tired with the good versus evil 24/7 kind of thing, and yeah. Exalt says, please read my super chat. Where's the super chat, bro? I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Type it out again. Don't send a super chat, though. Just type it out again, and I'll read it. I'll feel bad if you sent one and I didn't read it, my friend. Just another bro. Do you think the Phantom Menace is more like retardians of the internet? I have no idea what the word retardians mean, but sure. Do you know who do you know who's top Star Wars YouTubers? I don't know who the top one's probably Star Wars Theory, but I've met a lot of them. I met Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. I met Star Wars Theory. I've talked to Eckhart's Ladder a time or two. I've talked to the Scoundrels Cantina a lot. Me and the Lore Master, I think Lore Master. Me and him talked a little bit on Twitter not too long ago. So yeah. All right, Andrew Harris says yes. Also check the super chat. I'm not seeing any guys, so I'm sorry if I missed them. Yeah, had to type out just a simple question. I would have answered. But that is it for the stream, my friends. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Will I ever do a face reveal? Maybe one day, maybe not. Oh, Exalt, there you are. There you are. I just said I would rather have a gameplay trailer and official release date for Lego Skywalker Saga game than Mando Season 2 trailer. That's a very good point. That's still coming out later in October, though, the Lego Skywalker Saga game. We still have a trailer. We just don't have a gameplay trailer yet. But there's been some speculation on when more news will come out about that, because there was some speculation that it was going to be delayed, but the developers of that game said it's not. So everything's going to be fine with that. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for joining the live stream. These are always fun, and I enjoy your company. But until next time, my friends, I'm Star Wars Only. I'll see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.